Hi, I'm Reverend Jocelyn, your minister of healing. I equip churches to become places of healing and not trauma. And today we are going to be discussing the connection between grief and trauma and how sometimes when we've experienced loss, it's more than just grief. It is layered in trauma. And so hold tight for a little bit, spend some time with me today, and we'll talk about the connection between both. And to help me to illustrate this point, I'm actually going to tell you a story. Now, before I tell this story, disclaimer, this story is wild. As I share it, some of you are going to be thinking, did she make this thing up? And sadly, no, this is a true story. This is some reality TV show type stuff. So let's get to the story. A week ago, I celebrated my birthday. Was very excited, how people are when their birthday's coming up. And so the night before my birthday, I go to sleep and I'm woken up at 1 a.m. by my mother who says, "Hey, sweetie, I need you to come outside. The police are outside." And I'm like, what in the world? She's like, "Somebody stole your dad's car." And I'm like, "Someone stole my dad's car." Now, my dad has passed away like 3 years ago, right? And so when she said someone stole my dad's car, I'm like, what? Wait. So I'm half delusional. I come outside and I look in the place where my dad's car was, and my mouth is open and I'm just looking at the police. And they're asking me these questions. And I'm like, what? And as they're interviewing me, I'm like, I can't believe this because first, how did someone steal this car? I'm like, this is my birthday. And I tell the police officers, I was like, today's my birthday, right? And they're like, happy birthday? They didn't even know what to say other than, I'm sorry. And so I'm like, well, sorry is not good enough. Find the car. And so, anywho, they asked us the questions. They said they're going to search for the car. They're going to let us know what happens and find out. Come to find out, the people who stole the car actually used the car tragically to murder someone. So they took the car, they murdered someone in it. We're like, what in the world? And so we're like, okay, all right, well, they find the car, they'll let us know. And so we're, praying that they're going to find it. And then I'm going about my birthday. And mind you, at 11 a.m. on my birthday, I also had to attend the funeral for a young mentee who I had mentored for over a decade when I was a director of a youth center at my church. And he was 35 and he passed away unexpectedly. And so I already was heartbroken about his passing and having to attend his funeral. And then my dad's car is stolen. And so all of this is happening and we're still hoping, dealing with the police, that they find the car. And mid-afternoon, my mom's like, "Oh yeah, they found the car. Let us know details about what's next." I'm like, okay, well, they found the car. Well, they found the car, but the car wasn't the car anymore because them knuckleheads, yes, I would like to use other words there, but I won't. Them knuckleheads burned the car up. You heard me. They burned the car. Yeah. So your girl wanted a birthday redo. Not gonna lie. All of this happened in 24 hours. It was a lot to process that day. But I share this story because I was navigating 2 different losses all in the same day. When it comes to grief, you can grieve the loss of someone or something, right? And that day, which happened to be conveniently on my birthday, I was grieving both the loss of a mentee who I'm so sad about his passing. So I was grieving the loss of someone, but I was also grieving the fact that someone took my father's car, did something crazy in it, which was traumatic, and dealing with that as well. So here's the story behind this. This is why I shared this story, because with the grief of losing that young mentee, that was not traumatic, but it was still grief nonetheless. I'm grieving that. I did not expect that. I will miss him. But then we have the experience that I went through as it relates to losing my dad's car. And because it was done where it was a violation, it was violent, it was unexpected. I mean, the fools burned up my dad's car, all of that. Now we're adding not only the loss of something that's the grief, but there's also trauma surrounding that as well. And so with this story, I want to talk about how grief and trauma can be connected. Actually, it's always connected when you experience trauma. And this is a concept that I teach as a master facilitator with the Trauma Healing Institute in our curriculum, where we teach Christian, essentially, describe it as Christian Bible studies to help people to heal from trauma. That's how I describe a healing group. And in this concept, we have this grief diagram, this grief circle. Y'all see this, my beautiful, beautiful drawing. All right, so we have grief here, and then we have trauma. So grief is surrounding the trauma. Now, trauma is the fear, horror, and helplessness, right? And when we think about what trauma is the effects of emotional shock, right? It's not just the event, but it's the effects of the event, leaving us with fear, horror, helplessness. I felt fear. I felt horror. Like, why would someone do this to my dad's car? Helplessness. Oh my gosh, what can I have done? All of these things, trauma. But then there is grief surrounding this loss as well, because it's not only the fact that I'm like horrified by what they did, but it's a loss that I'm taking in. And it's not just the physical loss of the car, it's loss of like how I looked at my neighborhood, loss of safety, loss of control. Because anytime trauma takes place, there is a loss of control in that situation. And that's something that I was wrestling with. And here is the thing. Anytime you experience trauma, there's always grief surrounding it. But sometimes you can experience grief without trauma. Like in the case of the mentee, I wasn't traumatized by his passing and going to his funeral, but I definitely was grieving, right? So there's a connection there. Anytime there's trauma, there's always grief surrounding it, but you can have grief without trauma. Now, here's the thing. If you are at a place where you're like, man, I went through this loss and it's more than just a loss to me. I feel like I'm having trauma symptoms. Well, let's think about how this could show up. Well, for one, reliving the experience all the time is a sign that we talk about in our trauma healing curriculum, where you are constantly thinking about it. You can't stop thinking about the experience. You're reliving it through flashbacks, nightmares. I mean, your mind is constantly constantly talking about the situation. That's reliving the experience. And then sometimes we not only relive the experience, but we avoid reminders of the trauma. We might not go to certain places anymore because of what happened. We might be at a place where we're like, I can't listen to that song. I can't see that person. Anything that reminds you of it, you will do whatever you can to not think about it. That might be something that causes an addiction. And addictions is not just drugs or alcohol here now. It could be retail therapy. All right, now, some of y'all got high credit card bills because y'all got that retail therapy addiction going on. It could be sex. It could be food. It could show up in a number of ways to help numb the pain so you don't have to think about the thing that you've gone through. Then it can also show up as being on alert all the time. There is like now this experience where I'm like, did I lock the car? I'm on hyper alert, going back, questioning if I did the thing, or expecting bad things to happen, or, overreacting to certain things. Like sometimes people, they just go off about stuff that's not that big of a deal. It could be because of what they've gone through. And it shows up sometimes as PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. These things can happen, right? And if you're hearing me right now and you're saying, man, maybe this loss is something where I've dealt with this, but I really haven't dealt with this. Like I am feeling like I'm losing my mind. It's been several years now and I feel stuck and I feel like I can't even move forward with life. You know, I heard it said before by someone, it's a difference between feeling like you can't get out of bed. Like I don't feel like getting up and I can't get up. I can't move. When that's at a place like that, whoever's listening, if you're listening right now, then I want you to know it's okay to say, I'm not okay, and to get support and ask for help. One of the things I've learned in doing this work for the last 7 years, organizing groups and journeying with people on their trauma healing journey, is that healing happens in community through relationship because trauma disconnects. Trauma disconnects us from others. It disconnects us from ourselves. It can even disconnect us from how we see God. But through the power of reconnecting through safe and sacred relationships, relationships with people who care about you, who hold space for the real for you, reconnection to self can take place, which allows for healing to transpire in your life. But that does not mean, what that does not mean is you try to do this thing alone, right? And so with that, I encourage you to reach out for help. And sometimes it's not just a matter of a shoulder to cry on, right? Because we could have friends and family who we lean on for support, and they can be that listening ear. But sometimes when you've got trauma symptoms going on, then it requires a certain level of expertise to assist you on your healing journey so that you can navigate your healing journey. It's like peeling back a onion. When it comes to trauma, it's layers to this. But slowly, a professional, someone who's trained, can help you to peel back these layers of the pain of what you've gone through. So slowly, where you're not overwhelmed, you can begin to heal. God created us as relational beings. And with that said, I want to remind you that the tears you've cried, the things that you've gone through, you are not alone. God loves you. And God is Jehovah Rapha. God wants you to experience healing. And if you are listening to this right now and you are seeking support, or you know someone who is, I want to let you know about a couple resources. First, I encourage you to download a free grief resource guide. It has resources that you can turn to help you in navigating this grief journey. Again, this is free. All you have to go to is faithonthejourney.org/grief and download your guide. Also, if you're at a place where you're looking for a Christian counselor who shares in your faith, but also is someone who understands trauma, understands grief and loss, then when you go to faithonthejourney.org/grief, you can learn more about how our counseling team can support you. Remember these words. Grief is a journey. Grief is hard work, but you are worth the work. And God can heal you. God gives us resources like people, like counselors, to help us on that healing journey so we can experience hope, freedom, and fulfillment again. It will not always be like this. So I want you to be encouraged, know that there's hope, and we are here to serve you. I'm Reverend Jocelyn, your minister of healing, and I'll see you in the next video.